Let's speak now to Cornelia Meyer. She's an economist and chairman and CEO at energy advisory firm Meyer Resources. Good to have you back on the programme, Cornelia. Now, with prices jumping almost 14% this week, is the market finally pricing in the geopolitical risk, or is there still room for another shock?
Good morning, Taibe, and thank you so much for having me. There is loads of room for another shock. What we've seen is, the reason during the first bout of conflict, prices didn't go higher was that we lived on borrowed barrels, we lived on inventories, and you had the east to west pipeline of Saudi Arabia, which could bring about 5.6, 5.9 million barrels a day through the Bab El Mandab, and then the 1.8 million barrels a day from Habshan to Fujairah from the UAE. So now what we have is the 5.6 million barrels a day. They can no longer go through the Bab El Mandab. They can go through the Suez Canal and then through the Cape of Good Horn around Africa, but that adds 30 to 40 days of traffic. And to get to Asia, 82% of all that oil and gas went to Asia before the war. So we're in dire straits, especially as a lot of the inventories are close to tank bottom. We lift off inventories. They're now very, very close to tank bottom, except for China. So we are in dire straits here.
So as you mentioned, both the Bab El Mandab and Strait of Hormuz are both under pressure. Which route worries energy markets more?
Well, obviously Hormuz, because Hormuz was 20% of oil and oil products and 20% of LNG, of gas. It also was 30% of fertilizer, nitrogen-based fertilizer, 70% of sulfuric acid, which you need to produce the phosphate fertilizer. So in terms of, not just the liquids, also the solids, it is really worrisome. But both of them together makes it really very unmanageable. One of the saving graces up to now was that China has imported much less. It's in June, year on year, down 41%, and compared to May, down 12%. But how long will China be able to maintain those very low run rates in refineries is another question.
And with oil pushing back above $100 a barrel, could that be enough to change the tone of the next month's Fed decision?
I don't think next month's Fed decision will be it, but I think if this goes on and we go to 120 to 150 or something like that, if we really start to feel the pinch, yes, it could. I think for the northern hemisphere, this will be a winter of discontent. Not enough oil, and especially not enough LNG around, because now the U.S. and the East Asia and Europe are competing for the U.S. and Australian cargoes. And in the southern hemisphere, it will be a problem of food insecurity. So what we are dealing with is at least half a year, if not a year, of the economies of scarcity.
Right, and beyond petrol prices, which everyday essentials are likely to become more expensive for us consumers if oil stays at these levels?
Well, it's all the LNG has an impact on fertilizer. The fertilizer is not going through. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh produce their fertilizer from LNG from the Gulf. So fertilizer prices are going up. That's food insecurity. But with aluminium, helium, 8% of aluminium have to go through the strait, helium, and all of these other things, sulfuric acid. So we are really, as I said, we are on a bullet train to the economy of scarcity.
Cornelia Meyer, great to speak to you as always. Thank you.
Thank you very much.